It may be winter, but spring sports are registering now for Everplay Sports and Social. Barrett again from the All About Nothing podcast, and right now through February 19th, you can sign up for Tuesday's Super Rec Same Team Pitch Kickball at M Avenue, Wednesday Kickball at M Avenue, Thursday Kickball at B Avenue and M Avenue, Indoor Volleyball on Mondays at Tri-City Leisure Center, Tuesday Indoor Volleyball at Tri-City Leisure Center, Tuesday Sand Volleyball at Pollywogs, Thursday Sand Volleyball at Pollywogs, Sunday Softball or Monday Softball at Pacific Park, Tuesday Bowling at Bolero in Casey, Wednesday Cornhole at Jay's Corner, Monday Pickleball at Casey Pickleball Complex, or Wednesday Soccer at B Avenue and Bray Park Field. Check out everplaysocial.com for more information and registration. Again, everplaysocial.com. Everplay Sports and Social League. Play, socialize, and have fun.
The All About Nothing podcast may have language and content
that isn't appropriate for some.
Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, Nothingers, to another episode of the All About Nothing podcast. This is episode number 237. I am Barrett Gruber. I'll be joined by Mr. Matt Vilardebo, who is holding Bowie. Bowie's named after David Bowie, right?
Yes, and Barrett loves Bowie, and Bowie especially loves Barrett when he comes to visit. So I wanted those two to have a chance to interact with each other real quick. Say hi to your buddy Barrett. Okay.
There are a lot of dogs out there that like me just as much as Bowie.
She's just a weird dog. We got her during COVID, so she spent a lot of time with us and no one else. And so then
That's
COVID's
fair.
over and people start visiting regularly, and she's like, ah!
There's more outside this door than I thought.
Correct.
All right. Please subscribe and share the show. That's how we get new listeners. Also, if you could, please consider supporting the show financially by visiting our website and clicking on leave a comment. All of that helps drive our show higher up in the ratings on all of these podcast platforms. Again, going to introduce Mr. Matt Vilardebo here in just a second. ZJZ Designs, check them out, zjzdesigns.com for all your apparel and gift needs. New designs come out pretty regularly with some really cool designs that you'll actually want to wear. So check that out, zjzdesigns.com. Also, leagues are registering right now for the I guess it's the late winter or maybe the early spring leagues for Everplay Sports and Social. You check them out now. Go to everplaysocial.com to sign up for leagues if you live here in the Columbia area. So do that because a lot of these leagues are going to sell out with it being spring and everybody being able to get out of their houses. Also, Coastal Comic Con is coming up, Wilmington, North Carolina, the Wilmington Convention Center, March 1st and 2nd, 2025. They're already starting to announce guests, and it's going to be a great time. I'm going to be there. So check that out. CoastalComicCon.com is the website address. Tickets are available now. You also get information about the guests that have been announced so far. So check that out again, CoastalComicCon.com. We're going to have Mr. David Brock on the next episode that we record. That is coming up in 2 weeks. This episode, or I guess next Monday, from the date you're listening to this, next Monday, I'll have Donald Brock, and we will be talking all about Coastal Comic Con and hopefully getting some inside information on things that are going to go on, not just the guests that are going to be there, but we'll also potentially be getting some inside information on some events that'll be taking place around the Comic Con. So check that out again, coastalcomiccon.com. So introducing my guest, Mr. Matt Vilardebo. He, of course, was the most recent Democratic nominee for the South Carolina House 26 seat in Fort Mill, South Carolina. And you've got some things that are going on. Do you want to jump right into to what it is that you're here to discuss?
Yeah, so before I get to anything, I had already told Barrett about this, so this isn't some big surprise. Really, the lead in, the first thing I need to get out of the way is a long time ago, I appeared on Bill Kimler's Black, White, and Blue in the South podcast. And I said some things about my opponent in the last election that were patently wrong. I did not say them because I knew they were wrong. I said them because I was just wrong. I apologize, David Martin, for saying that you were some generational rich kid who inherited a law firm. That was an untrue statement that I should not have made. I should have kept my mouth shut, and I didn't. So I know he probably won't hear this. He might, but I know some other folks are going to hear it that need to hear it. That was not a lie. I did not perpetuate that further than that one utterance. And I regret that I did that, and I know it reflects poorly on me, and I own that it would reflect poorly on me. But again, I know who David Martin is and was. He is a very successful attorney. He's got law offices across the state, and first person in his family to graduate college, much like myself. So that's over and done. I just wanted to make sure I said that. This is my first opportunity to have a platform to kind of speak that out into the world. So
Absolutely.
over and done.
Absolutely. And you say done, but I'll just comment. Look, in situations where I'm wrong, I have no problem admitting when I have made a mistake, or if I have said something that was incorrect. I will own that every single time, because ultimately, one, I don't want, same as you, I don't want something to be out there that that I suffer from a credibility question. You know, it's one of those things that I don't think that there are a lot of people can do. I don't think that there are a lot of people out there that will own up to their mistakes or own up to things that they've said that they find out are inaccurate, especially in this specific timeline in our political situation with everything going on. So, you know, it's one of those things sometimes we have to do, and I do it without fear or retribution, because if I made a mistake, I will own it. And, you know, you are from the years that we've known each other now, you are absolutely somebody who will own their mistakes. You have always been forthcoming when something is incorrect. And you know, I think as a candidate, that was one of the things that I admired the most, is your brutal honesty, is your ability. And I'm not just blowing smoke, but the fact that brutally you would be honest, and you would say, even if it took out from you or your message or whatever, you did not shy away from the I guess you didn't shy away from the fact that, you know, you're imperfect, just like every single other person on this planet. So
Yeah.
kudos.
Thank you. So now on to the next thing that we've covered, that like one immediate thing. So
Yeah.
I did want to take this opportunity and share with the world that I will no longer be running for office, at least for the next coming several years here, because I will be running for York County Democratic Party chair at our upcoming convention in March. I'm very excited. There we go. I am super stoked about that. This is something people have been asking for years of me, and I thought I was better served running for office. That time has come and gone, I think, at this point, and now it's time to like be the change I want to see at a leadership level, and kind of hopefully get a team around me who can help, you know, raise the Democrat Party in York County to a level of prominence and strength. So I'm excited about that, and I look forward to moving ahead with that and seeing what happens in March.
Yeah, no, I think that's exciting. And while, you know, I was disappointed in the outcome of the election, and that's not to say that I don't think the reflection. I don't think the outcome of the election was a reflection of the work that was put into it, the amount of hours that were spent. Yeah. You know, I guess chairing a party now, that's kind of the power that comes with like coffee mugs and emails in all caps, right?
Yeah. And, you know, I just want to, I'm not running because I'm beefing with the current leadership. This isn't about competition between me and them. This is just about, I have a vision, and I feel like when surrounded with folks who would like to participate with me, we could go do some really great things and really kind of elevate the Democrat Party to where it should be for a county like York. We should be on the same level as Greenville and Spartanburg and Richland and, you know, other counties. We shouldn't be where we're at. And that's not to disparage other counties, but I mean, we all there's a pecking order, and we know this, right? And it's based on, population, voter turnout, economic impact. In York, we're top 3 economic county in the state. So
The vicinity to Charlotte is ultimately, I think, one of the most the under. It's been underwhelming as far as support for Democrats in York County, despite its significantly close vicinity to a Charlotte, North Carolina, where Charlotte, North Carolina is very blue.
Yeah, and it's tough. So, like, I never encourage people to go to Charlotte, and this isn't the first time I've said this in a public forum. I say go to Columbia. I say go to Spartanburg and Greenville, and even hell, go to Charleston if you have to. But we live in South Carolina in York County. We don't live in Charlotte. We don't live in North Carolina. We need to let our South Carolina voices be heard and mobilize the South Carolinian Democrats. So going up there doesn't always help the cause necessarily, right? You're surrounded by people. I went up and was a marshal in the Labor Day parade this last year. And it was great, being with the Mecklenburg County Democrats and meeting all these Democrats. I watched from afar with like my heart aflutter, oh my gosh, you're so amazing. And it's great, but it's also cool having like that little sprinkle of folks in that area who know who Matt Vilardebo is. And it's mainly because of my social media, but they know who I am up there. So again, I haven't really had a chance to be out in the public like this since the election. So it's nice to have an opportunity to be here and be able to talk and be able to confirm that I too, like Barrett Gruber, did not expect the election results to be like they were, not at a federal level, not at a state level. I was quite surprised, and I'm usually not surprised. I saw Trump's first victory coming. I remember telling my wife a week or so in advance, I don't think Hillary's going to do this. And I didn't, I really just, yeah. So it kind of like wipes clean the playing board, right? I mean, somebody came and upended the chessboard on us, essentially.
Yeah.
And man, it's hard not to want to punch a pollster in the face.
And this isn't to sound like it's not to sound conspiratorial, but there are still a lot of things about this particular election that it still just doesn't add up for me. And I'm not saying that because I think that the election was stolen or that there was some technological spy software that was inserted into anything that would potentially give I'm not saying Trump a victory. I'm not saying that happened. I am saying that the amount of support that it looked like the Harris campaign was getting, the amount of just the amount of money that was coming in. But then after the election, I look back and reflect on the amount that all of that. I look back on it and say, the way the election turned out, it definitely feels like maybe this was a situation where the media may have outperformed the race, that the news media's following of Kamala Harris and all of these rallies and things like that, that she didn't have the support that I thought she did, or that support that she did have was being magnified. And Trump is a populist. I mean, as much as I want to deny the authenticity of his populism,
You're not
he is
wrong.
a populist.
You're not wrong.
He even now, when he says things like he wants to rename the Gulf of America, the Gulf of Mexico, to the Gulf of America, I recognize that, for one, that's just something that he got in front of a cameras and said. I don't believe that there's any intent to do it, but why do it at all? Why rile up, people that are hemispherically our partners in on this side of the planet? And it just, I don't understand that. I don't understand this idea of wanting to potentially use military force to go into Greenland and to go into the Panama Canal. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Why would you want to rile up and disturb what is pretty much a tranquil existence between us and Canada, and us and shit, who owns
Dutch.
who owns Greenland? The Dutch.
No, it's
these
not the Dutch. Is it Denmark? It is Denmark.
Yeah, it's Denmark. It is Denmark.
It's the Dutch.
Greenland is a territory of Denmark.
So
I yeah, go ahead.
So I'll get back to it for you. So, like, the election this year was crazy, right? So my little campaign for State House saw like a very coordinated misinformation campaign about me. We talked earlier about this apology I offered to David Martin for a misspeak I made. Let's talk about a legit lie and the furtherance of that lie to defame my character and to hurt me. Telling people that because I work for a company like JLL, which is where I'm employed, I got hired to that job in July. People are drawing the parallel that all the way back to 2021, where I was working for another organization, I facilitated that real estate deal in 2021 between JLL and Silfab, the solar plant that nobody wants here, including myself. And they know it's wrong. And, nobody comes to my rescue during that, right? My neighbor, who's an elected official, he's not going to show up and say, that's patently wrong. I can't believe you're saying that. These friends of mine who I've known for years that are endorsing my opponent out of the blue, they're not going to jump in and say, this is wrong. I know Matt Vilardebo. That's wrong. Nobody came to my rescue except for, my supporters, my camp, were like, this is wrong. And the little Facebook group that is against the Silfab plant pulled it. And all the folks within that group who love me didn't believe it for a second. But still, they made a fucking video highlighting my connection to that, right? And I'm just like, to me, it's almost like they're making me into something I'm not. They're turning me into almost like this liberal legend here in York County and making me like a Democrat kaiju. All this attention isn't going to hurt me with my people. My fellow Democrats, they're not going to watch your silly little videos and think, oh, Matt's the worst. They're going to watch it and go, this is a Republican talking point, and clearly Matt's onto something, because they're coordinating their efforts to attack him with a lie. Again, and I almost get physically attacked at a fall festival. I have a death threat called in on me and my family that resulted in law enforcement having to do like routine patrols of my house.
Right.
All these things happen, and like nobody like came to my rescue. Nobody was like, the arena, which is kind of provides our side of politics and news reporting in the state, was really gracious and picked up that story and did a piece on it. But even local media didn't run the piece they interviewed me for about the death threat. So it's tough, right? But all this, like, to me, it's all this like posturing and like this is their idea of gamesmanship. And it all goes back to like Trump. I mean, I don't think for a minute that we're going to go forcibly go take Panama and Greenland. I, for one, like the movie Greenland, and I'm a big fan of Gerard Butler and his cinematic works. I don't know why Trump hates him. But, this guy is bizarre. I mean, we could talk all day, but that's what people want. I feel like in the election, one of the things that hurt us is this like pearl clutching instinct that Democrats have. Like,
right.
We get it. The things Trump's saying are bothering you, but man, I feel like there's like more substantive things we could be pursuing other than like getting sand on a crevice about something Trump said.
Well, that's like, and that's like, what
and he knows that. He's like, He's sorry, he's trolling us, right? He is absolutely trolling us. And people take that fucking bait every time they get a chance. And I'm not that guy, and I think that's why people like me. They kind of see me as like the ready, steady. Matt isn't prone to these outbursts. Ooh, excuse me. Bourbon's visiting me. But Matt's not prone to the sort of outburst that others are. And man, I sound like The Rock. I'm talking about myself in third person. But that's how things go, you know. That's where we're at with politics nowadays. In the world of Trump and a world of MAGA, a lot of this is like the theater of the mind, if you were, whatever you want to call it. It's, you know, who can be more hyperbolic, and it's not substantive at all.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and I think that is one of the things, and how I think that my approach in this next Trump administration has to be is I can say things, even if it's in satire, about the dumb stuff that winds up being said in a White House press conference. I can have a reaction to it, but can't focus on it, because ultimately for me, focusing on it means, you know, me coming onto one of these platforms and saying, you know, did you hear what he said? How do you not look at this and go, this is really dumb. This is something that a president shouldn't say. And that doesn't do anything for those individuals, half the country, that will continue to support him regardless of the things he says. They won't turn their back to him just because of that. But we have to focus on the things that were promised. We have to focus on the things like grocery prices. We have to focus on the things like gas prices and improving the healthcare system here in the country. You know, ending the war in Afghanistan. And I know, I recognize, and some won't, but I recognize what it means that he made these promises. And the likelihood is these are not promises he'll be able to fulfill. But if he does, I will be the first person to come on and be like, congratulations. This is something that is good. He has accomplished something that he promised, which he didn't do during his first term. So the second term being from day one, 100% a lame duck presidency. The ability to have those accomplishments. And if that means that the Republicans in Congress, whether the Senate and the House, come together and come up with a solution for a better healthcare system that doesn't necessarily take and give all of the power and all of the power and decision-making process to the insurance companies, if that somehow becomes a public option that can make the healthcare system better for everybody, then 100% Trump will gain my support on that. And he can etch away at the opinion I have of him as a human being, because he's making improvements to things that I think need to be improved. I'm also drastically fearful of some of what he has also promised, because some of what he has promised is just downright batshit crazy. The abolishment of the Department of Education. I don't think anyone's really discussing the ramifications of what that means. Go ahead.
So I agree with you. And I do think those are the sort of things that concern me too, because I do think they will make earnest effort towards fulfilling that promise. And I would certainly tell people, expect, you know, people sometimes assign a lot of like coordination and sophistication to the government and these like sort of shadow maneuvers that are made. And as somebody who has spent years working with the federal government, I can tell you they possess neither the sophistication or coordination to do these like clandestine things that people think are happening. But, there are some very real things that, a Trump administration could do, like putting an end to the federal education department. And that would be disastrous for funding and federal dollars being allocated to schools in need and departments of education around this country who depend on that money. I've always said, like, I'll listen to really to anybody. I may go into it. No, I'm not going to agree with anything they got to say, but I'll give it a whirl, right? But there's just some things that I'm just not down with, and I think this like movement towards anti-intellectualism and like being negative towards the educated, I'm not down with that. I mean, I get it. We all get pulled in different ways. Not everybody needs to go to college, and it's not a matter of elite education. It's about like we need folks with knowledge who are fact-based and driven by science and data out there, like fixing our roads and making the electricity work when you hit the light switch and all that like stuff that you need. I'm not, it's just weird the sort of way we're going down a dangerous road with the way we look at like education and like development of intellectualism in this world and in this country in particular.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. And like I was saying, the ramifications of dissolving a department that handles literally the money as far as the budgeting requests at a national level for the money that then is provided to the states, that the states then get to distribute on their own without federal, as long as they're accredited and they have all the necessary systems in place and whatnot. But the states decide how that money is distributed to the schools. And if there's no Department of Education, then who handles how that money gets distributed to the states? There's so many of the
Congress? I
things
mean,
that
do you really trust that?
Yeah. No, there's no way. It just it's not. There's no way that Congress has the ability to operate that at such a finite level. That's why you have a department to handle that specifics. But this idea of abolishing the Department of Education because they want the states to handle the curriculum and things like that. The states handle the curriculum already. The federal government has no say in what the states teach. That's why in the state of Oklahoma, they're buying 57,000 Donald Trump Bibles so that the kids in public schools will be taught from the Donald Trump Bible, a $70 Donald Trump Bible, that the likelihood is you probably could have gone to any one of the Bible publishers and been like, hey, do you want to sponsor the school system of Oklahoma? And the publishers would have fought each other to try and be that for free. And you use state funds to buy 57,000 $70 Bibles.
That's crazy. That would be like an attorney buying a flashing safety sign in front of a school so that he could establish that maybe he's a sponsor for childhood safety. I don't know. I mean, it sounds weird to me, dude. It's self-aggrandizing at a minimum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's true.
I got jokes, right?
I want to bring up a topic that you have in recent weeks have asked me not to go nuclear on. We have a state representative who is adjacent to your district.
Yes.
Named Brandon Guffey, who is and I'll just say it. This is my opinion. He is the victim of his own doing in every way, shape, and form. But this is a gentleman who has come after you vehemently. Outside of necessity, you weren't running against him. You aren't in a district that's represented by him. You don't actually have almost anything to do with him, except that maybe you go and eat and shop in his district sometimes.
Yeah.
But you, as an individual who is concerned about the growth of South Carolina, the population of South Carolina as a whole, you have called him out as well as other representatives through social media about some of the things that maybe they haven't done that they could have done, or the things that they have focused on versus not focused on. And I this is an individual who has come after you after years of you showing your support for him on a personal level, financial level. So I guess give us some insight into what exactly is going on, because my perspective is I wanted you to let me use the nuclear option. So
I get it. So, I mean, so here's the thing for me. This guy was a local county council member here in York County, and he decided to run for state rep. And during that election in 2022, when he ran for state rep, his son took his own life. It was a very tragic situation. It was a sextortion issue. And I mean, it tugged at me. I'm a dad, and I feel like I'm a very empathic person. And I remember like being probably the only Democrat in the area to reach out to him, certainly the first. And he's always been like straight up with me, handshake, eye contact. We'll talk, but he usually, nothing really deep or substantive whenever we do interact. I'm not trying to like have this guy invite me over to dinner. I get it. And he had a fundraiser I went to and bought, hundreds of dollars of raffle tickets and spent my money at the fundraiser, and always just him and I. So fast forward to now, and I make a social media post just about some legislation I see him sponsoring that I don't support. And I understand that legislation is tied to this tragedy with his son. But I don't believe that sacrificing our right to privacy and our First Amendment right to freedom of freedom of speech, freedom of everything, freedom of expression, a lot of constitutional rights would be sort of muddied with some of this legislation, and I just didn't support it. I never said a cross word about this man. And man, he came at me both barrels over that social media post, called me an idiot. There's since been somewhat of a mea culpa on his part, but not really, where he put out another post, which one could assume that maybe he was lumping me in with the Freedom Caucus and an accusation of being a pedo or a pedo protector. Again, I want to say, like, and I feel like he's going to hear this and see this. I'm worried about this guy, and I know he's dealing with the most unimaginable tragedy and trauma that a person could go through. And I feel like sometimes folks, not specifically him, but anybody, social media gives us a way to like publicly process that, and maybe not always in a healthy way. So I certainly, hope that guy can like get some help, but I'm not his enemy. I'm a Democrat, and I'm looking to be Democratic Party chair in York County. I'm not looking to like be the king of selfies with Republicans. That's not where I'm at with all this. I'm looking to inform people. I'm looking to add balance to Columbia. And part of that is making sure Democrats get elected. And part of that is going to be pointing out some of this ridiculous legislation and why I think it's ridiculous. If people like my opinion and believe in the things I say and the sort of parallels I'm drawing, that is great. But at no point is this me like besmirching Brandon Guffey or the Guffey family name. And it was tough. Like, he was super fired up, and people were coming at me. I actually had people who had the nerve to say, well, why are you being like this? And I'm like, why am I being like, I wanted to reply with, why am I being like what? This guy is literally calling me names and trying to bully me. And I'm like taking the high road in every single thing I say on this post and subsequent posts. And it's frustrating. The Republicans run things in this state, and they run things when you start to poke at them and they don't like you and they don't like the poke. And, and that's the thing. Like, his Republican supporters are going to come after me. That's their guy. There's a split in York County between the Republican Party. You have the York County GOP, and you have something called the York County Conservative Club. the York County Conservative Club wants that charter from the York County GOP because they don't think they're doing a good job. And ethically, I would say the York County GOP is devoid of ethics with the way they conduct themselves. But again, the York County Conservative Club doesn't make me feel any better. There's still another club of Republicans that want to become the actual. Yeah. So they're like split, and they see me as like the informed, loud, people look to me in my opinion and hear my voice. And I think that is the clearer message I received from all these recent interactions, because I know they kind of look at Representative Guffey as like the next one and the guy who they're going to tap on the shoulder to at one point hopefully replace Ralph Norman or do something else. But I know that he's like one of their people, because he in a way, he would have been a worthy opponent for me. I've always wanted a worthy opponent in an election, somebody who will like debate and engage and go back and forth and talk about the issues. And I've never really had that in any of my campaigns. It's always been the standard, I'm not going to do anything. I'll send out some mailers to make me look like a tame Republican and I'll win. And yeah, I think Guffey would have actually like shown up for a debate and actually would have, wanted to do a candidate for him.
That's one of the things I also want to discuss was I took issue at one of the comments that Guffey made on your Facebook post about, I don't remember what your Facebook post was about, but he spent a lot of time on your Facebook. But he made a comment about how we were unwilling to, or you were unwilling, and as your campaign manager, this was a situation that I was trying to make happen, which was we were trying to work with the David Martin campaign in order to have a public forum debate where questions could be posed to both of you, and then those questions could be answered in that forum. And Guffey made a response, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically saying that we were too chicken shit to debate him. And I want to make it very clear. I reached out to the David Martin campaign, both in emails that were ignored for months, as well as text and phone calls with the campaign manager for David Martin's campaign. And when I posed an offer to have a public forum debate, it was put on the Matt Vilardebo campaign to come up with the location. We had to be responsible for the location. And when I mentioned 3 of the potential locations that we had already gotten a semi approval or at least an acknowledgement that they would be interested in potentially hosting it, those 3 locations that I posed to the campaign were denied. They did not want to hold the debate at any one of those 3. And the only one that was offered up was a potential at I guess it was the town Chamber of Commerce, to which when I reached out to the Chamber of Commerce, there was no response. And I then asked the David Martin campaign if they had connection to the Commerce,
which they do.
They make the arrangement. Yeah, of course they do. He's a member of the Chamber of Commerce. He has a business in York, in Rock, or in Fort Mill.
Yes to all, Barrett. Yes, he has a business in York, Rock Hill, and Fort Mill.
So yeah, so I put it out there that if they could make the arrangements, then we would, you as the candidate would be at any potential debate that was scheduled. And nothing was ever returned. Nothing was ever said back to me. In the emails that I sent, there was no follow-up even to the emails that became public to everyone. There was no communication back from the campaign to say, hey, yeah, we want to do this too. And I think that is sort of that is part of the issue when it comes to being able to provide the population, the voting population, with as much honest potential information as possible. Wayne Borders is watching us on TikTok, and he can tell you that there was no debate between him and the candidate he was running against.
They
You know,
have
this is
they have everything to lose in a debate because they're going to have to stand up there and try to like explain 20 years of failures. They can try to nuance all this majority supermajority bullshit, but that's what it is. It's bullshit. They've been in charge for 20 years and had really a blank check to do whatever the hell they want. And they've chosen all these really weird things to pursue. So why would they like stand toe to toe with like a well-informed, well-prepared, passionate Democrat who's really approaching this not from a idealistic point of view, but more from a the math don't math out point of view. And,
Yeah.
it drove me crazy, but I kind of knew that would be my battle to fight. I wasn't surprised by what happened. I wasn't, oh, crap, this isn't going to happen, it looks like. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
We did have venues that want to support us, and we did have, some surface interest from an opponent, which is more than I got 2 years ago. So I'll take that. I'll take that.
Yeah.
And I can
your
tell
previous
you,
appointment, your previous opponent, I don't know that her ability to get out of the house was really there. So,
I ran into her at the grocery store the other day and gave her a hug. She's in person. She's so sweet.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Yeah.
I do want to say, though, as county party chair for the York County Democratic Party, I can promise that I will strive to reach out to a lot of these organizations in our community, like the League of Women Voters, like, the Pan-Hellenic Council, which is all these historic Black Greek fraternities and sororities, and build a coalition with them where we can make sure candidate forums happen and candidate debates can happen, because you need some of these nonpartisan groups to oversee it. Because, some folks, they're okay with the York County Conservative Club hosting a forum or a debate, and they see that as a nonpartisan event, even though it's hosted by the York County Conservative Club. It would be seen different if the Democrats tried to do that. I remember we have a club called Drinking Liberally, and they invited all the school board candidates to come. School board's a nonpartisan seat. One school board candidate came to Drinking Liberally to speak at Drinking Liberally. So, it doesn't go both ways, right? And we got to change that.
Yeah.
We got to change perception. We're not poison, we're not toxic, and we're indeed interested in the facts and getting answers to questions that impact everybody. I'm just not going to be like, how many times a day do you bow to a picture of Joe Biden? I'm going to ask you substantive questions at a forum or a debate. I'm not going to, all this stuff kind of confounds me, the way people are, the barriers, and again, you're talking about a hegemon with the Republicans in this state, and the Democrats are trying to get something done with them. And certainly Democrats like me are trying to move something forward for the left. And it's hard. It's a lot of work. And I've been doing it for years now.
As the county chair, how are you, Wayne Borders says it's deeply important because we don't register by party in this state, and that's absolutely a fact. As the party chair, and in case anyone's watching or listening to this that would potentially use this as theirs, how do you look at instructing or mentoring candidates for chair or for positions in your county? How are you going to approach them? How are you going to mentor them on how to run a successful campaign?
So I can tell.
And before you say anything, I just want to point out, a successful campaign doesn't mean that you win.
Correct.
Matt's campaign this year, your campaign picked up thousands more votes than you had before. South Carolina has not released the number of people that voted party only. And I still think that if it were based on educated voters that didn't just go in and pull the county line and just by default selecting your opponent, I think that the race would have been much closer, and the likelihood is if someone was forced to actually vote for the candidate that that they wanted to vote for, that I think you would have had a win. I think a lot of Democrats in this state would have had a win.
I can tell you that I am very proud of chipping away at that 1 percentage point we took in this election. We took that back. That was Ray Felder's percentage point, and I took it. So I'm very proud of that. I lost the election. I know that. I'm not like trying to blow smoke up my own ass, but I can tell you it was nice seeing that gap close a little. I wasn't happy. I was really upset, but that gap closed a little, and that was just a one little sprinkle on the sundae, Barrett. Maybe a little pink sprinkle, a solitary sprinkle. So
yeah, I'm hoping that I can run the numbers at some point and actually get what this election, what your election was representative to the people that actually voted for you versus your candidate. My suspicion is that based on how the election turned out for the Harris campaign and the number of votes that you received, my suspicion is that there were more Democrats that didn't just pull the ticket. There were more Republicans that voted for you and voted for Trump.
yeah.
So I think that the likelihood is that would make for a much closer outcome than what was represented by the actual counts. I think that could be said for most of the Democrats that ran in South Carolina against Republicans. So,
So back to what you did originally ask, though, as far as the mentoring goes, I've already been out there mentoring people. So, like,
sure.
He'll come on here and tell you this. John Zabel, that was my guy. I led that guy to the best I could, and he broke the trend. That guy got 42% of the vote in a race that he wasn't able to do the sort of things he was wanting to. He was hogtied by difficulty fundraising like the rest of us, but he did an impressive job. But I definitely was there to support and mentor him. I taught a class that resulted in a woman running for Rock Hill City Council, and she lost that race by, I want to say, 17 votes. So the fruits, my tree is bearing fruits, and you got to talk to people. I got a friend here in Fort Mill who I think who I'm hoping I can convince to run for Fort Mill Town Council this year. But there's people I've met and know in the York County Democratic Party who I would like to be able to go to and actively try to recruit them. And without the sort of authority and I don't know what to call it, officialness of being a part of the county party proper, it's really not my place to be out there trying to recruit candidates. I don't know if that's like a good use of my effort as a human. But I would be a recruiter, and I would be going to people, and people would see those efforts. We don't. The time for all this, there's a lot that happens that y'all don't know about. Sort of rhetoric is over. I mean, people need to know about the efforts. We got to show the efforts, tell folks about the effort, get them excited about being part of the effort. All this, we're doing stuff subtly behind the scenes. That's not cutting it. Nobody's getting excited about behind the scenes stuff they don't see. They get excited about passion and conviction and people who put together coherent thoughts that make sense. And I feel like I'm good about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I want here in Lexington County, those out there that don't know where Lexington is adjacent, it's just to the west of the city of Columbia in the middle of the state, Midlands of South Carolina. And, while I'm not disappointed in the individuals in the county party here in Lexington, I am disappointed in the county party as a whole. Richland County here in South Carolina, which is the seat for the city of Columbia, they did a lot in the way of social media presence. They did a lot in the way of pulling together canvassers for all of the candidates. There was a lot of effort put into it that I didn't see on the Lexington side. And I attended one meeting because I got one email about the meeting, and I went to that meeting to hear what was going on. I have a friend, we have a mutual friend that is the head of the South Carolina Democratic Youth, the Young Democrats of South Carolina for the Midlands, Jeremy Jones. And I think that he is a good cheerleader for the Democratic Party when it comes to his ability to be active and his ability to participate and recruit other young people to the Democratic Party to try and bring in more and get people more active. But one of the things I'd like to see the county party here in Lexington do is actually stand up and go out there and encourage more people to attend the meetings, so that they need a space larger than just one of the study rooms at the public library in Lexington. Like I want to see large attended events once a month, like what Kimmler's pulling off in Greenwood.
Yep.
The fact that every Saturday they do a breakfast for the Democratic Party where they get together and they discuss the issues, and they have candidates come up and stand in front of the Democrats and talk. It's an opportunity to shake hands and meet with the people that you're trying to represent, and then use that forum to potentially pull in more people and potentially get people that aren't necessarily active to be active.
Yeah, man, I can tell you, like, Kimmler is a good example. Katie Crosby is a former chair down in Lancaster. Rajon Lewis over in Dorchester.
Oh, yeah.
These folks know how to run a county party, and you don't do it. It's and again, Barrett has probably heard me say this ad nauseum. It is not just in election years. It is not just the even-numbered years. You have got to be constantly out there. And as county party chair here in York County, I would want to see us use fundraising dollars to get digital marketing out there, maybe get a billboard or two up and start educating folks in York County about, where we're at and what these Republicans are doing. Just waiting till, a couple months before the election year fires up and other things, there were things that happened this election year that really drove me crazy. I was not a big fan of farming out our volunteer efforts to swing states. We lost every single swing state in that presidential election. And South Carolina sent a lot of effort out to those swing states. And we got to be like South Carolina centric, I think. And that's just how I feel. I mean, as a candidate and the guy who's out there on the streets actually talking to people, what I'm hearing and what the interactions I'm having are not, hey, I'd love to do more for Democrats in other states. It's, why are we always Republicans running unopposed? Why do we have garbage candidates? All these other things. And another one is, why do we have elected Democrats running unopposed that do not leave their districts? We need these elected Democrats to leave their districts and come help get Democrats elected around this state. I need to know that the Democratic Legislative Caucus, the House Democratic Legislative Caucus, I need to know that guys like Todd Rutherford are working the phones for me and other Democrats running for State House. I don't know if that happened, and if it did, nobody shared that with anybody. I know that the Senate Democratic Caucus did have their leaders out working the phones for people like Mike Fanning and others. But we need that sort of unification. If you're running unopposed, don't sit home and do nothing or show up when Jermaine Johnson, or what's his name, the DNC chair. Oh my gosh.
Jamie
Not
Harrison.
Jamie, when Jamie Harrison shows up in a bus, let's not, we don't need you to go stand in front of it with a sign with Jamie Harrison. We need you to come to York County, knock doors for me, make phone calls for me, call people who donate money to you and ask them to donate money to me. Ask them to donate to John Zabel. Ask them to donate to Adrian Lett. Ask them to donate to Hamilton Grant and all these other people that were running around the state. Hamilton fortunately won his race, but there were so many of us that really could have used that effort and that rub. And it's always money, right? I got to a point with the money where I knew I wasn't going to be able to deliver what I needed to deliver to do those extra things. And once I saw that I wasn't going to be bringing in 30, 50 grand, I knew what I had to do. I had to be like a lot more grassroots and a lot more person to person with how I do things. And it's tough, man. I mean, David Martin, my opponent, he put out so many mailers, leading up to the general election. And some of them came to me, and I know that Brandon Guffey put out one on his behalf. I don't know if Guffey paid for it, if it's just something David paid for that Guffey like rubber stamped. But,
right.
The Republicans rally around each other, I mean,
yeah.
That
is one thing.
We got multiple elected Democrats in York County. We had a fundraiser sponsored by our county party, and none of the elected Democrats came to that fundraiser. One of them was benefiting from the fundraiser, and he didn't show up. To me, that's unconscionable. If somebody's going to do a fundraiser for me, you damn skippy, I'm going to show up and suck up for those dollars. And, I don't mind. I'll be talking, and in the middle of what I'm saying, no matter how important it is, I'll be like, hey, you know what I need y'all to do? Donate now. Don't wait till I'm done talking. Do it now.
That's right.
I need, the money matters. And, people don't like it when I say it, but might be the 12th time I've said it publicly. I wish Soros would back the money truck up to South Carolina. Right. We need that kind of funding. We need, Bloomberg and Soros and people like that, flipping off the dollars for us, for people who are running in races that they can win with that financial push to get them up to the top of the mountain. And
absolutely.
I don't mind saying that. For me, I don't get bothered by people putting together videos like trying to bash me for things or digging through Google search engines for things that happened 20 years ago. I'm all right with that. All you're doing is showing me how important I am to you.
Right.
There's a lot of rhetoric about living rent-free in somebody's head. I don't think that putting a post out saying, hey, check out this legislation, this rep's pushing through, I don't know about this, is living rent-free in somebody's head. I do think that leaving at least multiple dozens comments, bizarre shit happens in the world of the internet, Barrett.
It definitely, the amount of attention that you receive from that individual in particular is, I will just say, I will give credit where credit is due. And that credit has to go to the Republican Party in your area, because there was money spent against you. There was effort put into trying to demoralize you and to try and defame you in arguably what is probably one of the most, and will for the future, as long as the candidates that continue to be elected there, will be underrepresented in the state house. The state of South Carolina will not benefit your county. It will not benefit other counties adjacent to you, because the individuals that were elected there are all junior representatives. These are not individuals that are going to have any sway on the Republican Party. These are not individuals that are going to be able to come in there and fulfill the promises they made, such as the support of public schools over a voucher program. You had Republicans that were running on this idea, and you had support from teachers that were voting for a Republican who said that they were against the school voucher program, but not acknowledging how little influence a junior representative will ever have on the party as a whole that has completely sold themselves to the for-profit school system in South Carolina. And I'm dumbfounded by how the obvious just doesn't stand out.
I have yet to see actual video of a Republican saying these things, or like seen them put it into writing. I have only heard rumor of these things uttered by proxies of these people who help prop them up and make them something they're not. So, this is all just rhetoric. I mean, and really a lot of conjecture at this point.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
Let me acknowledge the hyperbole. Yeah, I'm just, it's one of those things. I want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, but I am too observant of behavior. I'm too observant of the things that someone has done in their past to not be able to form an opinion. I had a back and forth with somebody today over social media where it was this, why don't you give Donald Trump a chance? And I said, I am giving him a chance. I will sit right here and tell you that if he accomplishes goals, if he accomplishes fixing things for people here in the United States, I absolutely will be on board to applaud his achievements. The problem is based on history and based on my observations of his behavior, not just because I heard some liberal news organization talk about it. I recognize his behavior, and I recognize that he is not an honest person. He never has been. Even when he was a Democrat, less than 8 months before he ran as a Republican, I recognized that he was a liar. He's always been a liar. And that was when he was part of my party, so it didn't change. He's not reinvented himself. He has simply taken advantage of the fact that there is a group of people that support him, and they have no ability to discern fact from not fact, and lie from truth, and things like, so I don't know. That's my soapbox, and I am going to hold through the podcast and social media Donald Trump responsible, and hold his feet to the fire when it comes to the things that he's promised. Same as the Republicans in the districts here. Kennedy Carlisle is a guy that represents me in the Senate now, and some of the things that he promised, if he doesn't fulfill them during this session, or at least work with other Republicans and potentially Democrats to fulfill some of the things that he said he was going to do, I'm going to attack. Maybe not nuclear option, but I'm going to. So I've already seen some of the things that my opponent in the last election pre-filed. And I'm watching him. I'm watching all the elected officials in York County. It isn't just one person I'm quote unquote picking on. Right. I'll watch them all. I'm going to be in Columbia for the Moms Demand Day of Action at the end of the month. And these people are going to have to stand across from me and answer my questions, or at least hear my voice. And they can't hide from me when I show up in Columbia. And I'll do that. And I think that's kind of where some people don't make the connection with me, is what I say on social, I'll stroll right on up and say to somebody. I'm not at all intimidated or worried, and I do it in an appropriate way. I'm not some half-cocked jerk who's looking to alienate everybody. But I also feel like, I'm trying to provide some representation for a voice that's been silenced, and a group of folks who are made to feel like they don't matter in this state. So, I mean, that weighs heavy on me, and it's important to me that folks understand that they might see me laugh and joke around or not, but I'm very serious about this. Yeah, absolutely, because it affects real people, and it affects their lives, it affects their children, education in York County, same as in Lexington County. We're having money ripped out of the public education system because of this voucher program that just seems to have an unending source of funds as long as they can take the money out of the funding for regular school. So before we get wrapped up, I do want to ask you, you mentioned to me previously that there is, I guess, some sort of charity amateur fights going on? The Rotary? Tell me about this.
So when I was at my weekly Rotary meeting, one of our members shared with us that his son-in-law has a jiu-jitsu academy, and they raised like $1.5 million for pediatric cancer research by putting on like fights.
That's amazing.
And
that's amazing.
Hell yeah. But the discussion then went to, wow, we should do fights and all this. And a couple of people around me were like nudging me. And I just kind of smiled and laughed. But I mean, nothing would make me happier than to set up some some charity fights with some of these folks that are beefing with me. I would even be willing to cut weight down to the 190s, Barrett, to make it slightly fair, because most of these folks are significantly smaller than me. But 90
pounds.
Come wail on your least favorite Democrat for a charity, and if I lose, the money goes to the winner's charity. So, but yeah, nah.
I think it's a fantastic. I'm
surprised nobody's ever like proposed something like that, or like, let's see, Todd Rutherford and Dick Harpootlian, because Rutherford said some rather unsavory things about Dick Harpootlian during the primaries.
I have proposed something similar to that, but it's mostly been, it's always come across more as a threat than an actual invitation to spar, so
I'm down for whatever. I can do MMA, I can do pure grappling, I can do judo. I was a brown belt in judo as a youth. So we can do it all, brother.
I took up boxing for years after I moved here to Columbia, just because it was a good way of working off aggression.
I've done plenty of boxing, years of boxing, and 3 years of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, I'm not without my skill set.
That's fantastic. Well,
but
anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Yep, I do. So real quick, I didn't get to mention county party chair in York County. I've put a lot of work into this. We're gonna. This is me winking and nudging. I'm hoping my website guy is willing to do some last little bit of work for my website. We'll get the website updated.
No way.
And but I have endorsements from like a lot of former candidates in York County. Monica Danneman, who ran for my seat 4 years ago, and Kevin Eckert, who ran for Ralph Norman's congressional seat, Evangeline Hunley, and several other folks are backing me. They see the need for this, right? And I have a feeling you're going to see folks rally around me. This is, the official announcement, and I'm sure we'll have a little video put together we can send out into the ether here shortly. But I'll be updating all my social media and putting it out and sending official press releases to the local press about this and everything. Because it should be treated. I don't think they'll cover it, but it should be treated this way. And it should receive the ballyhoo and excitement of that we have earned, and that we again, it's about, we got to stop this nonsense where we're something we're not. We're Democrats. We're here. There's a lot of us, and there's plenty of us to win elections in York County. And I want to excite that and turn that up to about 11.
All right. All right. Yeah. And I'll take care of your website. That's not a worry. You send me the updates, and I'll take care of it.
You're the best, Barrett Gruber. Y'all get you a Barrett Gruber as a friend.
Everybody, you know what? Yeah, but not this Barrett Gruber. Maybe find another one.
Find another one. Yeah, this is my Barrett Gruber.
I'll take care of that. So Matt Vilardebo, the candidate now for the York County Democratic Party county chair, and we'll update the website so you'll be able to go to mattv4sc.com. To be able to look at that, which is an appropriate website anyway. I think you could potentially use that for anything.
For a reason. That website can be maintained in perpetuity as long as I live in South Carolina, or unless I move to Southern Connecticut or something, I guess.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. Well, check out Matt V4SC. We'll be updating the website with information about his candidacy in York County for the party chair for the Democratic Party. And just, follow him on social media because he posts information and asks questions for the people that are in the positions that can answer them. And these are important questions, and they're questions that I think every responsible voter in your county should also be asking. Or it's absurd to me how little effort some people put into what is such a responsibility of all of us as voters, as people that live in the places that we live, and so kudos to you for at least, despite falling down, getting back up.
Yeah, man.
And that's most important.
Absolutely. Thank you. And before I leave, I would be remiss if I didn't say I've got a workman rate like my man Baker Mayfield, who has led the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to back NFC South championships. I don't care if we got swept by the shitbirds. We're the champs.
Yeah. Well, and the good news is you can.
And I honor my bets, Barrett Gruber. I kept that damn profile picture up clear through the regular season like I was supposed to.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And you have fulfilled your end. You are relinquished from having to have that on there anymore. I will say this: we can do the same bet next year. And,
let's do it for sure.
I will honor my side of it. And I will say kudos to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because if it weren't for the other teams losing, they wouldn't be in the position they're at. So
correct.
You may claim it was Baker Mayfield's efforts on the field. I fully believe it was because of lack of effort by other teams. So there's that.
To each their own, my friend.
That's right. We can call it what we want, So that's great.
Oh, right. You're an idiot, man. You're a pedo. You clearly hate people with Parkinson's.
Do the players on Tampa Bay have Parkinson's?
I don't know that. I feel like I should do that anytime somebody takes a swipe at me. I'll be like, you clearly hate people with Parkinson's.
Well, you know what? That is how some of the people that I have communication with, that is how they defend themselves. Oh, you just don't like white people. You just don't like Republicans. You just don't. And it's like,
listen,
I look at
dude,
it, I've got plenty of friends.
I caught tons of shit for even talking about the Parkinson's, to where I've mainly phased it out of my vernacular. And everybody has seen it happen, has even mentioned it to me. So, I guess I should be more of a victim. Because that's right. Here we go. We're trying to end. That's what separates the victims from the not victims, right? If I was the victim, I'd be like, Parkinson's this, Parkinson's that. But I'm not. I'm like, I say things and live by the sword, die by the sword. I'm here for it. So, anyway.
Yeah. It's like I keep saying, I say this over and over. The only thing between life and death is entertainment, or birth and death is entertainment. Everything that happens between birth and death is just entertainment. So, thank you very much, Matt, for being on. This is going to do it for episode number 237. You can find links to past episodes, podcast platforms, merchandise, and social media, all available on our webpage, theallaboutnothing.com. And if you think our financial model of giving away free content and entertainment is silly and you're in the giving mood, why not become an official Nothinger and support the show monthly? Members get access to this episode early, as well as exclusive content, or you can make a one-time donation through the same link. If you'd like to be a part of the show, you can call and leave us a message, 803-672-0533. You can email the show at theallaboutnothing.com, or you can join our Discord server. There are links available, again, at theallaboutnothing.com. Thank you again, Matt, for being on the show. Thank you, everybody, for listening. You all stay safe, be kind, and keep your hands to yourself.
We miss you, Zach King.
The All About Nothing podcast is produced and engineered by me, Barrett Gruber. Thanks to Cake for our intro music, Sick of You. You can follow everything Cake the band at cakemusic.com. Thanks to Muff the producer for our outro music. You can follow Muff on Instagram at Muff the producer. I am Barrett Gruber. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Barrett Gruber, or visit my Linktree /Barrett Gruber. Want to support the show? Visit our webpage, theallaboutnothing.com, and become a member. There are several tiers available, including memberships that give you early access to episodes as well as exclusive content. content. Visit theallaboutnothing.com. To find links to our social media, merchandise, and past episodes, visit theallaboutnothing.com. If you'd like to be heard on the show, you can call and leave us a message. Dial 803-672-0533. If the time between these episodes is more than you can handle, check out our partner podcast. Zach and I host What the Pod Was That with Carrie Simmons. Visit whatthepodwasthat.com for links and details. Me takes a deep dive down the rabbit hole in episodes of Welcome to Wonderland. Available on all the podcast platforms. Visit WTWLpod.com for details. As well, you can listen to the political and social conversation between Dr. Jamela Brooks and Bill Kimmler on Black, White, and Blue in the South. Available wherever you listen to podcasts. Please subscribe and share this show. If you're on YouTube, please like and hit the notification bell. Thank you for listening. The preceding podcast is a product of Big Media and copyright 2025, all rights reserved.